Hey, welcome into a brand new segment here on Whoosh called A Couple of Things. I'm joined today, and every day that you see this video, by my wife, Rachel.
Hey, how you guys doing?
So in the past, you've seen pictures of her and myself from Comic-Con, or maybe even just her if you've watched the latest Terrificon one where she got to meet Scotty Young and nerded out. I'm super excited to have her here and super excited to do this to show you guys how we both share this love and go to cons and enjoy comics together.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how it evolved because it's not... Oh, I just noticed you put those two up. I didn't know you put pictures up over there. Because it's always evolving and it's always growing, just like our relationship. So it's cool to see where we came from with not being in, well, me not being into comics, to where we are now, both enjoying and reading them.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this episode will probably be more of an introduction to Rachel. I think I've spouted off about myself enough on the channel to not really need a big introduction for me. I do know she has some questions prepared, so we'll get into those as well. So I guess let's start off with this. What made you interested in comics in the first place?
So I always liked the idea of comics. I remember, I think it was like in the 5th grade, I went on a field trip to the mall, and I remember I only got $10, and I actually ended up buying a Simpsons comic, and I'm pretty sure I still have it today in one of my boxes. And I always remember reading the funny pages, which I never associated with comics as growing up.
Fair.
Because I always loved, like, Garfield and the Peanuts. And I never knew that was a comic until I got a little bit older. Honestly, before we sat down, I thought about this. So it was always interesting to me. But I don't think I thought it was okay to as a woman for a little bit. And I think you actually helped me get into that more as I grew up, because I think it was very like, well, why'd you buy a comic? That's weird. Like,
fair. I think it was like our second date or something, was Cheesecake Factory in Newbury, and you bought a collection of the old X-Men comics, I'm pretty sure.
It was trash. It was so hard. It's so hard. Like, just a great advice, any significant other who's trying to get their significant other into comics, don't start with the old stuff. The old stuff is hard to get into.
Like, the art styles are a lot different.
The art, I remember when I read the original Thor after my dad read it, and I was like, oh, so we just sexist here. Like, okay, cool. Like, all right.
Fair. Well, speaking of Thor, I'm thinking this might be an answer that might tie into that. What is your favorite comic book that you own?
Like, ever or run?
Ever.
I might surprise you because I actually really love the Dumbo you got me.
Okay.
So, you were going with Jane Foster?
I was going.
Okay, yeah, but it's because Disney's a big part of my life, and the only movie my grandfather had was Dumbo. And you picked up on that, and you found that merge of our two worlds coming together. So, I think that's probably my favorite comic, because it goes down deeper than, like, anyone really knows.
Okay. And I think, I know for sure it's not the first appearance of Dumbo, but it's one of, I believe it's a Silver Age appearance, or Golden Age, during, like, that time period. So it's pretty old. It is CGC'd, and you will see a picture of it right here. I was expecting you to say it was your first appearance of Jane Foster, so that's on me.
Well, that's just a beautiful storyline. Like, that's my favorite storyline.
No, not the Jane Foster Thor, just Jane Foster in general.
Oh, that's fair.
The Journey into Mystery 84.
Oh, that was my big girl book.
Yeah.
That was a big girl book.
I guess the next question would be, what is your best memory from a comic convention?
So, and this is not just to be, like, hyping you up, but I honestly love watching you connect with people, because there's certain things that like we will just never connect on. Like Rogue One is a horrible movie. I don't care. But you honestly connecting with Claudia Gray
Yes.
with it was so magical for you that it was nice to see you connect because we'll never connect on that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Okay. But it was really nice to see you connect with someone on that level who is purely happy for the same thing. If I'm being selfish, it was touching Chris Evans. Like, just being next to him in the same room, him putting his arm around me like that. In our wedding, I guess. I'll throw it in.
Fair. I will, there's a cropped... that I was in the picture too, however, I was immediately cropped out of the picture with Chris Evans, which you will now see here, is me not there. So, yeah. I mean, I had a feeling it might be the Chris Evans thing.
Yeah, selfishly.
Yeah, that's fair.
You didn't have to be in the picture. It was fine.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. So, I guess, do you have any recommendations for the audience for comics they should read? Or a comic. Let's start with one comic that you would suggest they read this week.
This week, I do like Kamala. I do. So I guess it depends on the person, because I really like Miss Marvel right now. I've never, even though she's younger than me, I've never felt more connected to just a girl trying to figure out who she is, trying to live up to her parents, what they expect from her. Like, it was just a nice, like, oh, someone else went through this. So I think Kamala Khan, any Miss Marvel, I think is just beautiful for anyone. I'm trying to get my niece, our niece, excuse me, on that. And she wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, she's a teenager, so any recommendations we put out there are going to get shot down. It's fine. Totally fine.
Whatever. Can't win them all.
I think fair is fair. I've asked you a bunch of questions. Do you have any questions that you want to ask me?
Yeah. So as someone who actually watches every episode to support you, you actually have never stated how you got into comics.
So that's fair. I guess this might be a long-winded answer. I got into comics in a few different ways, honestly. When I was younger, I loved watching X-Men, the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, then Iron Man, as brief as that was, X-Men Evolution, Batman Beyond, like all those superhero shows, Justice League Unlimited, all of those were heavy influences on me as a kid, and my love of the superhero genre. And then I used to go on vacations with my godmother in the summer, and I remember going to like a convenience store down there, and this is the first time I can ever remember buying a comic off the rack, and it was an Iron Man comic. I wish I could remember to this day what the cover actually was, and it got absolutely demolished the week I was down, because we were staying near a beach. Got absolutely wrecked. But I remember reading it. I remember loving it. And I loved Iron Man because he had a suit of armor that could fix any problem. And that to me was the coolest thing. There was no problem he couldn't solve between his brain making a new set of armor and his hull of armor just having all of them. And I thought that was amazing.
I had a sneeze, sorry.
It's okay.
I had a sneeze, sorry.
It's okay. I can edit.
It's fine.
I'm human. There's tissues.
Yeah, no, I'm human.
So, on top of that memory and doing that, my grandfather started to sell stuff at flea markets, and somehow he acquired this entire comic collection to sell there. It was all like 25-50 cent books, to be completely honest. But I was helping him sell them, and well, to do the flea market, and it got boring at times, and one of the things I could do was go over to the box, pick up a comic, and start reading. So there's a ton of image in there, like the 90s overproduced comics were all in those boxes. So
I feel like this is like a sad, like...
no. Yeah, not to run on too long, but yeah, that was another way that I got into loving reading comics. And then that didn't carry over from there. But once you and I started dating and hanging out around you and feeling more comfortable of being able to like dive into comics, and you actually encouraging me to. Like the first run I can remember collecting was the Death of Wolverine. After we got together, I collected those 4 issues and started like reading and really building back up to reading them again. So it was really 3 different phases of comics and love of superheroes and that type of thing. And I think a lot of people go through that phase where like you're young, you love it, you get a little bit older, you still kind of enjoy it, and then you feel like you outgrew it, and then you come back because you do love it again. And I think that's where I am.
I think what Marvel did really good too with getting us together, not to segue, in like just getting into the universe, was I'm such a book reader and not I wasn't a comic reader, that their books were so good that like you would get comics and I would buy a novel and like I would get into the world. Like Squirrel Girl was so good. Like such a good book. Yeah. But like that's like we would go, you would get a grab bag of comics and I would look for a book. And like that's how we kind of like meshed our 2 worlds together. And
we still kind of do, because they're doing a What If novel run right now that you're really excited for. You have the Loki for it. You're waiting for What If Peter and Wanda were like Peter Parker and Wanda were siblings. So they're still doing a lot of that really, really good stuff.
All right. What was the one storyline that changed your perspective of life, either positive or negative? Yeah, I came in hard with these questions.
So, the one... It's hard to say that there's a storyline that changed my perspective of life. I think with comics, it's easy to get caught up in good guys versus bad guys. It's hard to realize nuances in good guys and bad guys, though. Like, they're not all good and bad. And I say that when I know I've railed on either here or on the Comic Council before, like, some people are just bad people. You don't have to redeem them all. But, like, in comics, there's some that I think it's hard to say one specific one changed my life. I think I can tell you my favorite one is Civil War.
That was my guess. Because it's the one you talk about the most.
Because it has the most shocking opening.
But it's not too far-fetched from
it's
what's
not.
going on.
It's sadly not too far removed from the world, and I think that's something to consider on it. It's hard. That's not a question I would have anticipated, but I don't know. I think Thor changed my perspective because, especially with the Gore run, he fights Gore until basically the end of time, and Gore is just something that doesn't go away. No matter how hard he tries, you can't kill him. And I think that's a good allegory for what people face every day in life.
I was going to say, is that just anxiety? Like, completely?
Like, kind of. I like, the more I think about it, the more I connect more with that run. Because I do. I think people fight battles every day. Every day can exhaust them, and I think that's something to admire in more people, is that they get up every day, regardless of the fight in front of them, and continue to fight it, no matter whether that's anxiety, depression, hunger, like poor living conditions. Like, people get up every day and fight that. And I don't know if Gore was meant to be an allegory for that, and like Thor fighting him throughout time, but I think that's a perfect way.
We should have asked that guy at Terrificon.
That guy's name is Jason Aaron, who wrote the Thor God of Thunder run, which is amazing, and also wrote the Jane Foster run that followed after that.
Any person I don't know is either that guy or this girl.
But yeah, that guy is Jason Aaron.
Like, that's not
wicked nice guy. Messi is also not that guy, but we're not a sports podcast or sports show, so we're not going to get into that.
All right, moving on. What is the one thing you wish? Ooh, that was really loud. What is the one thing you wish the comic community would embrace more?
Yeah. So this is actually easy, and it's also not something I think is super controversial or embrace change. Whether that be someone else taking over a mantle of somebody, whether that be a new actor playing somebody in a movie that's already been cast, whether that is new creative teams on runs. I think embrace the change and be okay with it. Like, they can change and you might not love it, but that doesn't mean it's a horrible thing. It just means you don't like it. And that's okay, but you don't have to hate it, because you don't have to put your energy into that. Like, put your energy into things you do like instead. I think that is something I wish more people, not just the comic community, but in general, like...
I mean, we do it all the time by accident. Like, we do.
Yeah.
How many times do I walk up and I was like, that just was horrible.
100%. 100%. And I try to change that thought within myself all the time, where I go, it's just not for me. Like I try to find the positives in as many things as I can, but I recognize something might not be for me, but that might be the perfect thing for somebody else. And that's okay. Comics are supposed to be for everybody.
It's like any superhero movie or TV show that goes to space. I'm like, nope, good.
Yeah.
I'm done. I don't care.
Yeah, some people hated Eternals. I think Eternals is a perfectly fine movie for what it was. It's not my favorite MCU movie, but I think it's a good movie. Same with Shang-Chi. I think that was a great one.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
But I liked it as a kung fu, like, Marvel movie. Like, exactly. I thought that was so cool.
Exactly. And I think that's what the MCU was trying to do, was be like, all right, you like kung fu movies, here's a superhero for you. You like these kind of movies, here's the Eternals for you. And, like, branch that out so more people could get into and embrace the comics. And I think instead of shooting down people's ideas of what they might like about comics, maybe pick up something else, like Southern Bastards from Jason Aaron, which is about a football coach.
This.
Or Lock and Key from
Did he pay
Joe
you?
Hill.
Like, you are selling Southern Bastards.
Oh, it's so good.
Hard.
It's so good, but it's not superhero related. If people aren't into superheroes, there's so many comic options out there that I can list. Chew, Revival, like
Brujas.
Brujas, yeah. Like there's so many options you can show them of comics that aren't necessarily superheroes, that there's basically something out there for everybody. And just to name another one, Hardstyle Juice by Clay McCormick, about wrestlers. Like, wicked interesting story. I've read that there's one more issue to come up, but like I just think as a comic community, instead of being like, oh well, you don't like it, that's like, and just completely shutting down, like, just show them that there's so many other things out there for it. And I think that's the best thing we can do for the community.
All right, I have another hard one and then an easy question. The hard question is if you could get rid of one superhero in all of Marvel, who would it be and why?
One superhero in all of Marvel.
It wouldn't be DC, because you're not really a DC person.
I don't think I would get rid of anybody.
Nope, that's not the answer. That's not the answer to the question. It's what character is in Marvel history do you wish wasn't created? So I improvised, but who would you get rid of? That's the question.
Who would I get rid of? Superhero.
In Marvel.
Well, if I had to pick, honestly, if it would stop this movie from ever being made, I would choose Madam Web. Because that movie was bad. And if you enjoy it, I'm very happy for it.
I was trying.
But that movie was not good.
I was trying to think. I was like, what movie did we watch? I was like, this just sucks. I don't get it.
Like...
And I was like, I don't get the plot. I don't get anything.
It would have been a good movie if it was not named Madam Web, but for a Madam Web movie,
oh my god, they brought in Peter's Uncle Ben, and I was like, what do you mean this is Uncle Ben?
Yeah, like, honestly, genuinely, the movie had potential to be absolutely fantastic. Could have been something if it wasn't named Madam Web. And again, I'm not trying to hate on it. If you enjoyed Madam Web, I'm truly happy for you. I'm glad you could find a movie you liked. Like, I'm genuinely not trying to go back on the point I just made. Like, but I don't think as a Madam Web movie, Sony did it justice. Just like I think Sony's just, they need to figure out their stuff. They do. Venom is probably the only thing they've nailed. Morbius was not a good Morbius movie. It felt more like Nightcrawler with the way he like teleported but flew. I don't know. It was weird. But again, not a terrible movie, just not a good Morbius movie. I don't know how else to put it.
All right, for this last question, let's set the scene. Burning building, smoke everywhere.
Iron Man saves the day. Next question.
No, he's not even in this one.
Oh. Well,
burning building, smoke everywhere. You stumble upon 2 bodies on the ground. You look at them. You know you can only carry one out. You see Hawkeye and Daredevil passed out in the building. Who are you saving? And you can only save one. I mean, they're both caught.
I mean, to be completely honest, I'm probably going to try to save myself. Because I'm going to try to save me
you would
and somebody
save
else.
Someone.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm going to try to wake them up. Because I don't think I can carry either of them.
You would. You would, like, Hulk that crap. Who are you saving, though? Clinty or
That's
Matthew?
A tough one. That's a tough one.
I know. Isn't this a good one? That's why I was, like, giggling downstairs on the couch.
Is
I was
it like MCU?
No. Let's do your favorite Hawkeye run and your favorite Daredevil run.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay, that's...
Yeah, because Hawkeye is...
the Matt Fraction, David Aja.
Yeah, both unconscious. No way
Daredevil
they're waking
run
up.
Is really good.
You know one of them's going to burn. Damn. Yeah. It's kind of evil of me, but I kind of liked it. It's getting hotter, Lou.
I mean, if I'm going strictly on which run I love more, the answer is Clint Barton. I would save Hawkeye.
Oh, so you're not going to save the lawyer who could like help millions of people? Oh,
No,
just wondering.
No, I would save Clint in that
choices
in that scenario, and this is why she's a Sith, because you know
it just shows them she's asking.
evil.
Oh, she's asking questions.
Yeah, evil.
One's a lawyer, one's not. One could help other people, but I was just throwing that out.
Yeah, evil.
Also, one's blind, but disability.
Evil. They're both unconscious, so I don't think disabilities matter at that point, honestly. But you do you.
Yeah, that was my last question. Wasn't that a good one? I thought about that.
Yeah, so I think I think we'll wrap this up shortly, but you can look forward to a couple of things. I think twice a month, maybe. When we get them out, we get out. But this is a new thing we're trying. If you enjoy it, leave us some comments. Let us know. If you have any questions that you think we should ask each other on here, let us know.
I should rip one of your comic books in front of you.
That sounds like
I've seen that on TikTok where like they destroy something that someone else loves. I'll pick an Iron Man comic book.
This sounds like a terrible plan, and we're not going to do that. No.
Just give me Superior Iron Man. It's fine.
No. But yeah, I think let me wrap this up with I just put out a video about Terrificon. So, what were your thoughts just quickly on Terrificon? We only went that Friday, but what did you think?
I thought it was actually peaceful, like calming, relaxed. Like we've been to a lot of cons, where it can be overwhelming very fast. Agreed. And I didn't actually feel that with Terrificon. I've never felt like shoved or pushed or I feel like they do good with numbers. I mean, we didn't go Saturday and Sunday, so it could have been a shit show.
But we did Saturday last year.
And I didn't feel like that either. I feel like they're always reasonable for, like, price ticket per person. It's not like New York where it's a lot to go in and then a lot to meet these people. So you're like, oh, cool, ramen tonight for dinner.
Yeah.
I like Terrificon. I like actually seeing books. Mm-hmm. I like seeing the history of books. I think it's always cool. So to see something that's totally all books is kind of cool. I honestly think Terrificon might be our family con that we do every year. Like I know we talked about New York, but I didn't feel as calm, relaxed at New York Comic Con than I did at Terrificon.
Agreed.
Even though like I saw Chris Evans.
Fair.
Fair. The love of my life.
Fair. I think I would agree on all of that. And I think Terrificon does a nice job of balancing like vendor, artist, celebrity. Like there's no section that feels overly important to them. Like they're all equally important, I guess I should say. Not like
but they don't like pack them in.
Yeah, and they don't prioritize things. Like Yeah. So we'll get you back on here. I think our next con is Rhode Island for sure. Maybe some other ones in between there, but yeah, we'll have you back on. We'll discuss some other things. We'll go over a couple of things.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.